Guys, I'm starting to get just a tad bit concerned about this Mpox situation. And no, it's not because the media has whipped me into a frenzy. In fact, it's the exact opposite. I'm concerned by the lack of coverage because we know the mainstream media loves to fearmonger. They love to scare us with things like this. And we know they're patiently waiting on another opportunity to use some kind of illness to gain control over us in the way they did a few years ago. But as of right now, it's kind of radio silence despite the fact that this has been declared a global health emergency. And I can tell you for a fact, outside of America, the UK, various places in Europe, the rest of the world is taking this very seriously. Very, very seriously, but there's a reason why you're not hearing about this from America, from England, and other places in Europe. You see, other countries around the world, they're already starting to ban travel from certain areas, and they're starting to screen people that are coming from certain areas. As soon as you land in the airport, hey, we got to screen you, we got to test you to make sure you're not infected. You see, the problem is, though, all of these areas that are being, the travel's being prohibited and the people are being screened, all of these areas are in Africa, you see. And you see America and England and other places in Europe, we're affected by the woke mind virus. So we can't ban travel to Africa or from Africa because that's racist. We can't screen people coming from Africa right now because that's discrimination. So instead of tackling this real health problem, what we're going to do is we're going to completely ignore it until it gets worse, because acknowledging the problem is considered bigoted in the West because the problem is mainly coming from Africa and it's mainly being spread by gay men. Now, supposedly, this new strain is more transmissible, and this can be spread in other ways, not just the way you're thinking of. But because this disease is associated with gay people and black people, America has decided, hey, we don't want any part of this. We rather just let this spread and say nothing about it at all. Meanwhile, they have just detected a case in Thailand. Even though they've been taking the necessary precautions, let's go ahead and find out what's going on here. Thailand has reported a suspected first case of a new, more dangerous strain of Mpox in a European traveler. The patient, a 66-year-old man who arrived from an unnamed African country on the 14th of August, is believed to be infected by the Clade 1 variant, which is deadlier and more transmissible, and triggered a warning from the World Health Authority just last week. Now, as I told you all, other places around the world, they're gearing up, they're getting ready, they're taking precautions. Let's go ahead and check this out. Asia ramps up border controls, tests and vaccines as new clade of Mpox spreads. The preemptive move stands in stark contrast to preparations in the UK and across much of Europe. Countries across Asia are ramping up surveillance and countermeasures against Mpox as Thailand reported its first suspected case of a new, more dangerous variant of the virus. The preemptive action, deeply embedded in local pandemic plans, stands in contrast to the UK, where border checks have yet to be actioned. South Korea said on Wednesday that epidemiologists and public health doctors will be deployed at the gates of flights arriving from Ethiopia, a major transport hub for Africa, to monitor all incoming passengers. Waste from aircraft toilets will also be monitored for the virus, said the KDCA, which is also distributing a brightly colored leaflet with information on Mpox symptoms and prevention as part of a public information campaign to raise awareness. Nothing is funny about this, but every time I mention that the government is studying our poop, people kind of get freaked out. I had one person messaging me like, hey, Are you okay, dude? Like, why are you telling people that the government is studying our poop? Folks, it's literally happening. I know it sounds crazy. Trust me, I'm not sitting here in my room like, you know what? What if the government is studying our turds? Oh my God, everyone be careful. Don't flush the toilet. We don't want Bill Gates looking at our feces. No, folks. The reality is they've been monitoring our poop for a long time, and they're doing it in South Korea as well. They're literally going and taking all of the poop out the airport, trying to figure out, hey, this poop is infected. Where did this poop come from? Smells like an Ethiopian poop to me. It's weird, I know, but life is weird, folks. But let's go forward. Taiwan, meanwhile, has already begun stockpiling vaccines and conducting targeted immunization campaigns for people at high risk, including medical workers. So you see, this is another reason why I'm concerned, folks. Because over here in America and the UK, no one's really talking about this. Meanwhile, they're already rolling out jabs all across the world. They're rolling out new jabs, folks, all across the world right now. Meanwhile, America is acting like this isn't happening. So what's going to happen? Are we going to get 2 or 3 weeks out from the election, then all of a sudden they're going to make a big deal about Mpox? Are they just going to hit us and make a big deal out of this all of a sudden and require everyone to get a new jab? I don't know. They've done something like that before. I wouldn't put it past them. I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case, but this is what's happening in the rest of the world. And folks, we get nowhere by burying our head in the sand, acting like this isn't happening. And I know a lot of people want to do that, and that's okay if that's what you want to do. But it's kind of like my job to pay attention to these things, to try to raise awareness about these things before things get too bad. But yeah, the rest of the world, they're already like rolling out the jabs. They're getting ready, folks. Let's see what's happening in China. China announced on Friday that it would begin monitoring people and goods entering the country for Mpox over the next 6 months. So you see, they're not only, looking at the people, screening the people coming in. China's like, okay, we're going to start screening our goods. What does that tell you? That there's a possibility this thing can... Listen, I'm no expert on how this thing works, but if you're screening your goods, then that means, hey, maybe this stuff is getting attached to the goods that are coming in your country, and people can get people can get this stuff from Lord knows how. Because listen, they change the definition, they change how these illnesses work every other day. I don't know how this stuff works. But if they're monitoring the goods that are coming in their country, then obviously they think that this stuff can live like on surfaces or what have you. But as of right now, this is what we're dealing with. And when I say we, the rest of the world is dealing with this, while America is kind of focused on the Democratic National Convention. We got this big election coming, so the news cycle is dominated by that. But the rest of the world is kind of bracing themselves for impact, and I don't know what to think. I honestly don't know what to think about this one. And the reason I feel so iffy is because I said at the beginning of this video, they're kind of ignoring this problem. And, if it's not a big deal, if it's nothing we should worry about, then cool. You don't need to make a big deal out of it. But we kind of know why they don't want to talk about this particular disease. And I think that's dangerous. If this was something that was mainly affecting fat white dudes in Disney shirts, then I would say, hey, you guys need to let people know what's going on. If this was a disease that mainly affected fat YouTubers who make videos next to popcorn machines, I would be like, guys, we need to raise awareness about this. You know what I mean? But because, it affects these people or those people, we got to be quiet. We can't say anything, folks. We got to allow this thing to just rage through the community and just everyone be quiet. No one say anything. We don't want to offend anyone. It's ridiculous, but that's where we're at. So, as of right now, let me know what you think about this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next video.